How do you put an end to it? Those are some of the things that we can talk about today, and we'll get into a little bit later on this morning as well. But we do have good news to report to you too. So we'll talk about the issues at hand. There's not a lot out of this Brown scenario. Unfortunately, I think we're going to probably find out, and this is just speculation. It's not rooted in anything other than the knowledge that this woman, the first one of the first victims, was such a prominent member of what looks like at least the university there. She was a member. In fact, she's vice president of the Brown Republican Club. She was a Christian. Something was shouted at the attack. The interesting thing to me was that when the president was asked about what was happening in that classroom or at that time at the university, she did not have an answer. Some of the stuff that we're seeing come out of this weekend is just really sort of, it's perplexing. This was hours later. Reporters so frustrated, in fact, with the president from Brown, asking the question, what do you mean you don't know 4 hours later or several hours later what exactly happened there? What do you mean you can't tell us? And it should be alarming. There's a reason. It's either she doesn't know, she's so incompetent, or she's just not going to tell you because she doesn't want to maybe cloud the investigation, which would be admirable. But at the end of the day, there's more on this. In fact, she may be not telling you because it goes against a certain narrative. She just doesn't want you to hear. And that's very possible in itself. I've got some of those clips. We're going to play that coming up in a little bit. You'll be able to hear. But I wanted to tell you this. This is Australia. This is one of the bystanders explaining what happened, how he survived 10, 20 minutes or so while 4 policemen, because the call's coming, and don't let them ever do it here. You've seen what happened in UK. The call's coming in Australia right now. They want tougher, stricter, as they say, gun control. Yeah, the cops will come and save you. Chances are when you take guns away from the good guys, the only ones that have them left are the bad guys. And that's what happened in this scenario. When 4 policemen stood there, in fact, stood down and didn't fight back.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, there was 2 shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge. Just start to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody give fire back. Nothing. Like they are froze. Like for it looked like 20 minutes. Like, and they shoot. The guy change magazine. I look at him all the time. I was 2 of my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol, and just shoot. And the other one was under. They start to come close to the audience. One of the people took his rifle and shoot him.
I can't imagine. He's describing right now is what happened with the hero there in Bondi Beach. But you just hear what he says. I'm sitting there. I'm covering my kids. They're on the ground. I'm over the top. And I'm watching this 10, 20 minutes. He says they're switching magazines. He's perplexed. He can't understand it. And the police do nothing. There were 4 of them there, he said. Now, whether they were armed or whether they were instructed to stand down, or as he said, they just froze. Can you imagine? You and I are told constantly by the left that if we take the guns away, that there'll be good guys there to protect us. What happens when the good guys do nothing? That's how evil prevails, folks. And in fact, that's what happened until one guy who was good stood up, jumped in. The hero from Bondi Beach. You can see on the video. In fact, I'm playing it slow-mo right now. Let's folks. Shots. Here he goes up. He's tackling right now this individual, and I'll pull the sound down. He grabs the gun or the rifle, the long rifle, away from the assailant. Looks to be the father. I think is in his 50s. The son was in his 20s. And I believe he even shot. I think he's the one who shot and killed And he's got his hand up. Now the father makes it up to a bridge a little bit later on. He lays the gun down. The hero lays the gun down next to a tree so he's not confused. And then somebody comes up, throws something at that man, and eventually will make it up to a bridge where he eventually bleeds out. And he is met there with his son. He collapses on the bridge. But if it weren't for the hero, the good man who stood up and fought back, might be a different story today. Down under altogether. Thank God he had the courage to take action. All right, more coming up in minutes, folks. On a weekend, you try and make sense of it all, and I'll just tell you, most of this is senseless. How do you explain evil? Back with more after this. You can join the program anytime, 616-774-2424. No matter what the headlines, how bad the news is. The good news is, folks, God is still on the throne. He's still sovereign, and we're called to step in. What are you being called to step in to today?
On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, December 15th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. She hasn't said a peep about the water crisis in Flint. And now on our X page, Secretary of State Democrat Jocelyn Benson suddenly showing concern and blaming Republicans, who she claims are trying to cut funds instead of, in her words, prioritizing health and safety. Here in Michigan, residents rallying against data center proposals in Van Buren and Washington townships. Many residents are worried about how much electricity these facilities use and are concerned about blackouts due to the strain on the grid. And police in Brentwood, California say actor Rob Reiner, best known for his role as Meathead in the TV show All in the Family, stabbed to death in his home along with his wife. Reiner also directed hit movies including When Harry Met Sally, Spinal Tap, and A Few Good Men. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Attention, Holland, Allendale, Hudson.
All right, folks, welcome in on a behind-the-scenes live stream this morning. Appreciate you being here with us. I got a few questions over on Rumble earlier today. Looks like that's all sorted out. Don't know exactly what happened there, but Rumble is up and running. The folks on the live stream over on behind the scenes with the VIPs on Locals, we got Hemi in the house. We've got Gritter hanging out. Mando, thank you very much. Patriot Dean, always a pleasure, my friend. Let's see what else we got. Dina is here. Thank you so much, Dina. We appreciate you as always. Pickles is here. Thank you guys for being here with us today. It's as far back as I'm allowed to go here. Drop me a little notice and I'll say hi to you. Over on Rumble, SJ, Mendo, L. Waldron, good to see you. Tennisel, appreciate you. Jen, Dr. Dr. JMI Farm Boy. There you go. Almost said Dr. Jim. Appreciate you guys. Jackie Ray. And on the book, Sean, Jason, thank you so much for describing what you're wearing this morning. I don't know that anybody wanted that much information. And electric socks. I'm not exactly sure what that is. But, folks, that's the least strange of his outfit. We'll just tell you, tell you that. By the way, you won, Jason, over the weekend. I never got an email from you. Justin at justinbarclay.com. Send me an email, and I'll send something cool you on the way. Mary, good to see you. Brian, Sherry, Shelley, Jason, who else? Karen, Brenda, Jessica. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you for being here. We're going to be back on the air here in just moments. Stand by.
Zentwood Radio is a preset now on our iHeartRadio app. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
I have a manhunt underway right now and a breaking news conference happening at Brown University as we speak in Providence
we can best
this
be
morning.
Transparent with all the members of our community to share the best information.
And I know that they've said that the community doesn't need to worry right now, but you can understand if people are worried.
Yeah, I mean, the community didn't have to worry before the incident either, right? There was no threat that it was going to happen, but we don't know where this guy is, and until he's in custody, they are still a threat.
This is a problem. The guy still, as I mentioned, and I don't know that we gave it enough attention earlier, the guy's still on the loose. Whoever this is that's responsible in Providence, Rhode Island, wherever they may be, still on the loose and on the run, and they don't have a lot of leads on this right now. Again, the person of interest, they had the wrong guy. The one they initially arrested, apparently they had to let go. Didn't line up for whatever reason. We'll continue to follow the details on this coming up. We do have good news. I got to make sure I share with you. Beyond the hero at Bondi Beach, there are other folks to talk about and other good things that are happening. So try and make sure you hear those as well. Back after this, our bottom of the hour news on West Michigan Live. Yeah, keeping you on your toes and your feet with a good feet store, no matter the stories. Yeah, I make sure that I feel good every day, and you can too, whether you're working or playing. Your job keep you on your feet, or maybe your kids like me. I got 1, 3, and 5, and boy, oh boy, this time of year, it's nothing better. But, you know, it can certainly be a lot of work, and that's why the folks at the Good Feet store have helped me feel good for years now. Go check them out. 28th Street in Grand Rapids in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westage in front of Kohl's. Walk in and see how they can help you get back to comfort at the Good Feet store. All right. Roll. That's right. Brian, toxic masculinity on full display. The hero jumping in and saving the day. Isn't that something? Oh, boy. You can't make some of this stuff up. And this weekend was like drinking from a fire hose. It was like one thing after another. Watching it all take place. I hate to see it. I did say, though, we do have good news for you. So let me get to some of that. This morning. Hang on. Stand by. Let me pull some things from the feed. You know, I might be able to get to some of these on there. But today is Bill Wright's Day. Did you know that? 234 years ago today, 1791, they celebrate the foundation and protection of our God-given freedom, speech, religion, assembly, the press, bearing arms, due process, and more in the 10 amendments crafted to shield Americans from government tyranny in the shifting winds of political majorities. Bill of Rights Day, which I've never seen, I don't really think maybe celebrated before, but I'll tell you, now more than ever, it's probably good to educate folks what exactly is in the Constitution and what why it matters, right? President taking a huge victory lap. I shared this out last night over the experts. Because of the tariffs, he says we've taken in an $18 trillion. Now, don't get this twisted. The $18 trillion is investment. It's not tariffs. It's companies saying, we're going to build things here. We're going to build factories here. We're going to build plants here. We're going to put investment back into the United States. $18 trillion.
To an extent, because without the November 5th election, you would have had a president that didn't have the courage to use tariffs the way they should be used. And because of the tariffs, we've taken in more than think of this, $18 trillion. There's never been anything like it. As an example, the previous administration, Sleepy Joe Biden, took in less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We took in more than $18 trillion in 10 months. I'd say that's pretty good, right? I'd say that's pretty good. And if you go back into history, there's never been a country that's taken in more than $3 trillion to an extent, because without the November 5th election.
So that's just investment alone. Now, you've been hearing the story after story on all of this. And I bet, like I said, I told you, this was one of the big platform plans from the beginning. So listen, Chicken Littles, Black Pillars, please hear me. And I don't mean this in a rude or mean way, but I continue to get the comments. And like I said, Friday, I even made a post about this the other day. And it's so important that people understand where I'm coming from. If you can't take, and this is a biblical thing, by the way, this is very spiritual. This is very core to who we are. But if you can't take note, if you cannot give thanks, if you cannot exercise gratitude, right, for these things, then it's gonna be hard for you to see the good in anything. And when you get into this sort of, I'd call it like a preset, right? If you get into this preset mode of the sky is falling and there is no hope, no help, that sort of thing, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. There's my post from this weekend. Stop it, Chicken Little. Please hear me and hear me well. In fact, I this was our after show on Friday, pulling the curtain back. Go listen to that. You'll see where my heart is on this. And strategically, people will tell me. In fact, I got one again. I think it was this morning. Somebody talking about possibly losing the midterms, and I said, well, yeah, because you're not giving credit where credit is due, and you're focusing on the wrong things. I understand to be concerned about the midterms. I understand to make sure because of history and everything else. But don't fall for the press or the depressed. And in this case, it would be folks like the mainstream media, the Democrats, but I repeat myself over and over and over again, telling you like nothing's changed. That's not true. Gas prices are lowest they've been in 4 years. I just saw at like the Meijer by Me, which is generally, I guess, say midway on the prices. I think I saw it for $2.70 something. Now, I can't remember the last time I paid that price here in Michigan. Those are big, big, big stories. The investment into the United States, $18 trillion. That's jobs. It's money pouring back into making things here in America. Again, it's proving that those tariffs are working. So there's people that hate tariffs, and there's people that still have this weird sort of Chicken Little black pill thing going on that won't want to acknowledge that. But that's, and then there's the folks at TDS, and there's no help in some of them. Hang on, back on the air, folks. Stand by. Here we go.
Coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Let's talk some good news. In fact, we just shared some of this off the air. It's a big story. President Trump talking about $18 trillion in investment coming back into the country.
You would have had a president that didn't have the courage to use tariffs the way they should be used. And because of the tariffs, we've taken in more than think of this, $18 trillion. There's never been anything like it. As an example, the previous administration, Sleepy Joe Biden, took in less than 1 trillion in 4 years. We took in more than 18 trillion in 10 months. I'd say that's pretty good, right? I'd say that's pretty good. And if you go back into history, there's never been a country that's taken in more than $3 trillion.
He's talking about investment into the country, and we've seen that. We've seen a big push to make it here in America again. Those are dollars pouring in plants and factories and investment chips and cars here in Michigan. In some places, we've seen just trillion after trillion after $18 trillion. He says, good news. And again, the reason why I bring this up is you've got to hear this. Folks say, well, if we don't get certain things together, people are hurting. If we don't fix this, if we don't do that by the midterms, things are going to be shaky. Well, no, I disagree. I think if you don't talk about the good things, if you don't share the good things, if you don't do your duty to make sure that other people around you see it, understand it, and know. Like this story I hear every time I mention the gas prices, the lowest they've been in 4 years. Incredible. I just went to fill up the other day. I said, 270 something at mine. Oh my goodness. I can't remember last time I saw it that cheap in Michigan. Folks, if you don't share those stories, if you don't talk about that, and the people say, well, get the Trump president doesn't control the gas prices. Well, then why weren't they low under Biden? It is singularly the policies of this president have driven the fuel prices lower. So we got to give credit where credit is due. And speaking of that, at the state level here in Michigan, let's give credit to House Republicans who've uncovered hundreds of millions of dollars last week alone in waste, fraud, and abuse hidden inside slush funds. The Speaker of the House is on with us right now. Talk about the latest. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us, Mr. Speaker.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Matt Hall here. And, as I mentioned, we got to make sure we're talking about the good news. And this is one of those stories that can't be ignored.
I appreciate you pointing that out. We came in and we had a mission to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Every time we take an action to do that, the Democrats lie. And I remember earlier this year when we uncovered thousands of ghost employees, fake workers the Whitmer administration was using to pad department programs. We got her to sign a bill to cut 2,000 ghost workers, and they don't laugh anymore. Well, now, we've uncovered all kinds of wasteful grants and department pork spending from the Democrat trifecta. And we said, we're going to take an axe to this. We're going to eliminate it. And then we're going to come back next year. We're going to negotiate a new deal, and we're going to get much better use for your tax dollars.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest stories here, obviously, is the work you guys are doing behind the scenes. People have to hear it. If it doesn't make it to the light, a lot of times, and I don't blame people for this, but a lot of times folks get frustrated, think nothing's going on. All I hear is talk. But that's just not the case. There's lots of things, lots of action, big moves, particularly this from House Republicans that are leading the way.
Yeah, and I recognize, for years, the people voted for the Republicans, and then they looked at it and said, why are we voting for the Republicans? These guys are not fighting hard enough. And I think, President Trump has led the way, showing the Republicans how to fight. And, this provision we used, and I've told the governor, this is my favorite Michigan law. This is the law under the Budget Act that allows one chamber. And remember, in Michigan, we only control one chamber. We only control the House. It allows one chamber to unilaterally block the governor at the end of a year. So we appropriate a budget. They're supposed to spend that money in 1 year. What used to be the exception is now becoming the rule under Whitmer, where most of the money, she doesn't spend all of it in the year because she has way too much money. So she tries to put it into a slush fund so she can keep it for another 5 years. We can block that with one chamber, and that's what we did. And I'd say for years, whether it was Governor Granholm or the first 2 years of Whitmer, or first 4 years of Whitmer, the Republicans had this power. They just never had the guts to use it. And I really want to compliment Ann Bolin, who's our House Appropriations Chair, all of those warriors on the House Appropriations Committee who walked in there and had the guts to stand in and block the Whitmer administration from spending $644 million on mostly waste, fraud, and abuse, and forcing it to go back in the general fund so that the legislature can have a say in how this money is spent in the future.
Yeah. Speaker of the House, Matt Hall, with us right now as Republicans turning things around, doing things that, as you mentioned, the president giving you the courage to stand up and do some of those things and cover, really, to make sure that those things are taking place. I've been hearing a lot about Doge in the headlines, but now this is, in fact, we got a Michigan Doge headed our way as well. This is just maybe the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the waste, fraud, and the abuse here that's happening at the state level. And as you mentioned, Democrats playing these games for years with these slush funds. People are tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, this has accumulated $10 billion in slush funds for the Whitmer administration. And, you know, if you look through the new spending they were trying to continue for another 5 years, you know, this was their pot of money for all of the, to put all the tampons in the boys' bathroom and all the state buildings. This was their pot of money for all the illegal rental subsidies and welfare. This was where they funded the diversity festivals, all of their DEI initiatives. This was where they spent money to try to build EV chargers all over the Lake Michigan lakeshore. All of the efforts to draw funding from the Biden era climate programs. All kinds of waste, fraud, and abuse, and we slashed it. And the Democrats, I've never seen them this mad before. They are so addicted to the pork in the budget. If you take a whack at the pork, there's nothing that. But we're ready for this fight. We are going to get better value for your tax dollars.
House Speaker Matt Hall, the Republicans making big moves. All right, so this is big news, right? This is a really good news. What is next? Obviously, as you continue down this path, what are you all looking at? What are the next pieces maybe that folks need to be aware of in the days ahead?
Stripped all of the slush funds from the big departments. So, for example, Jocelyn Benson wanted to keep millions and millions of dollars to buy foreign election equipment and contract with Soros-backed technology companies ahead of the 2026 election. We blocked all of that. We blocked all of her money for IT. This was something that she's been really mismanaging the IT programs. And even the Democrats came in and took some of it away from her. We blocked all of her IT spending. You know, the DNR is out of control, just you know, doing all kinds of things beyond their power. We took all of their money away. And so now they're going to have to negotiate with Chairman Ken Borton if they want to get their money back. And we're going to continue to tighten our grip on them to ensure that they are doing what they should be doing for our hunters and fishers across the state.
Speaker of the House, Matt Hall, mentioning some of these issues, obviously got more work to do, but I think it's important to highlight what's already been done and the big moves that are happening behind the scenes as Mr. Speaker, you take the time to do that with us. And like I said, I know you got more work to do and you're working nonstop behind the scenes there. Before I let you go, we'll say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you, and please come back. Let us know in the new year what priorities are and where you guys are headed, the jobs, the things that you're trying to get done, and we love to, of course, get a chance to get that out there because again, I'm making this case. 2026, obviously, you know, it's got to be important for the nation, but I think it's going to be even more critical for us here in Michigan to take our state back.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And we, I want the people to know we're in there fighting for him every day, standing up to Governor Whitmer and the Democrats in the Senate, getting better value for your tax dollars. And next year, we'll be working to get property tax relief to the people across the state. I think we've used, we've had incredible power controlling one branch of the three in government, just the House, forcing them to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, getting Governor Whitmer to sign no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And we got more to do next year.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time here with us, Speaker of the House, Matt Hall.
Thank you.
You got it. All right, folks. More continuing in just moments. Don't go anywhere. I got good news. In fact, a miracle. An update on a recovery of the National Guardsman that was shot, Andrew Wolf, in D.C., the one that survived. You won't want to miss this. We'll be back with him and more after this.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
All right, checking the markets this morning as we take a look to see where things are headed after the weekend. Lots of green. Lots of green on the screen this morning, according to the folks there at CNBC. And, it doesn't matter whether we're up or down. In this case, stocks jumping at broad advance of investors' bet. Data this week will show strong economy, their headline. But you don't have to feel nauseous on that roller coaster ride, especially when you're trying to prepare for retirement, whether it's today, tomorrow, 10, 20 years down the road. The folks at Talon Wealth want to help you get there and make sure that you can do that in comfort. You don't have to feel uneasy about it all. No, that's right. Sleep well at night, knowing that they take a holistic approach. Mike Lester and the team at Talon Wealth, I do it the way no one else does, really. They tell you how to guard your nest egg. They walk you through it. You can find out more at guardingyournestegg.com or call them today. Pick up the phone, get a good look at the way things are headed, especially as you're headed into the new year. 616-661-1000. Call them today at 616-661-1000, but do it today before it's too late.
Asking the tough questions. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, December 15th. I'm Robin Hoffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Here in Michigan, residents rallying against data center proposals in Van Buren and Washington townships. Residents worried about strain on the electrical grid and potential power outages. Secretary of State Democrat Jocelyn Benson finally mentioning the Flint water issues on her X page, saying this public health crisis isn't over for families. This as she tries to blame Republicans for cutting funds to fix the issues. And as the Jewish community here in Michigan celebrates the holiday of Hanukkah, prayers for those killed in an anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Australia at a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney. At least 15 people killed by two terrorists.
Mourn the victims, to pray for the healing of the injured, to salute the brave people who jumped in the line of fire to protect our brothers and sisters from the terrorist gunfire.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Do you own a small business? A seismic shift?
All right. Like I said, good news coming, folks. Thank you for helping us share the stories out today that need to be heard everywhere else. Some of these stories you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you for sharing them with us and getting the word out. Yeah, lots still yet to cover. Make sure that you have shared, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, X, We'll Get Our Locals. You name it, we appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do. Some of that, I will say, is like I said, critical. Maybe some of the most important things that you can do. Help wake people up. Help spread the good news, so to speak. Very, very important stuff. Okay. Stand by for news. I got this good story I want to get you here in just a moment. Looks like a Christmas miracle. In fact, there's a couple of really good stories I got to share with you. And I'll do some of that during the after show, the show after the show. Dun, 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 dun. Boom, 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 boom. All right, here we go. The after show is headed on our way. Oh, we got an update on that DoorDash driver, too. That was accused of spraying something on the food of someone she delivered to. She's been arrested, but there's even more of an update. You won't believe what her excuse is. Oh boy. It's something. Hang on, folks. Back on the air. Here we go. Got an after show headed your way. Online, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, and the iHeartRadio app, wherever you download your podcast. You can listen live or archive. And all the stories we cover today, the good and the bad, the ugly, all of them, we put them up in the stack at justinbarclay.com. Email me, justin at justinbarclay.com. Love to hear from you. And boy, like I said, I just love every now and then, got to give you some good news. And I've got this. This is a story we've been kind of hanging on pins and needles for, but Andrew Wolf, Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf out of the National Guard, West Virginia, was stationed there in Washington, D.C., and, you know, they were just sworn, I believe, that day to go in and do what they were doing when they were ambushed by that evil attack there, that man shouting Allah Akbar and the rest of it, of course, from Afghanistan. But the good news is this. We've been hearing about his recovery. We've been hearing about the things that were happening. Like, he was acknowledging what President Trump last week tell us. He was acknowledging people. He was alert and aware. Now he is really making progress. I think what I've heard is that he's been up. He's on his feet. The MedStar Washington Hospital Center neurosurgeon Jeffrey May sharing that 16 days ago, Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf was airlifted to MedStar Washington with critical gunshot wound to the head. Thanks to the immediate response of the emergency personnel and the exceptional care provided by our trauma and neurosurgery teams, he received life-saving treatment, including emergency surgery to control bleeding and relieve pressure on his brain. Today, we are proud to share that Staff Sergeant Wolf has made extraordinary progress. He is now breathing on his own, can stand with assistance. This is an important milestone, both of them really, that reflect his strength and his determination. Based on these improvements, he is now ready to transition from acute care to inpatient rehabilitation as the next step in his recovery journey. We extend our deepest gratitude to our dedicated physicians, nurses, support staff, and more who have cared for him every step of the way. The family says we're so grateful to the staff at MedStar Washington, all of the doctors and nurses. Also want to thank the world for the prayers. We know and appreciate the power of prayer. And we see the results of God working with and through these amazing medical professionals. People around the world are praying for Andy, and the presence of God was evidence in his room on many occasions. They ask that you please continue to lift him up in prayer as he begins the long and tough rehabilitation road. But they know he will continue to improve at a rapid pace. Please continue as God heals Andrew and gives him the strength to return to work in the West Virginia National Guard and his new mission of being a light into this world. Wow. Fantastic. From both the doctors and the family there, Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. And I don't know that you could think of a better outcome. Unfortunately, the outcome didn't match for the young lady that was attacked that day. We continue to pray for her family, and obviously we continue to pray for the folks that are affected by that attack. Speaking of prayer, it was front and center on the field with the football game, the Bills and the Patriots. As they knelt for prayer. I don't know if it's before or after that game. Looks like it might have been before, but I either way, it doesn't matter. This was front and center, and another moment, the NFL, I think, wow, just inspiring. Speaking of which, did you catch the Army-Navy game this weekend? I should have played this, the national anthem, to start our show today. Wow, what an incredible moment. President there on field for the coin toss and more. That's the kind of stuff that hits you in the feels, right? Gives you the goosebumps and makes you proud to be an American. Could use a little bit more of that, couldn't we, this day and age? Fantastic. More on the after show coming up. Yeah, we've got story after story. Some more good news I got to make sure I share with you as well before we completely wrap things up. And yes, I'll do just that in the after show, whether you listen live or archive. Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Getters, Locals, YouTube. Make it a great one, folks. The Glenn Beck program is next. God bless.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, and our glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
Bad breath is a confidence killer. You have the best outfit, the sharpest resume, even the funniest jokes. But if your breath smells...
All righty then. Stand by, folks. Kicking off the after show in moments. Getting everything geared up and ready to go. Click a few buttons and we'll be rocking and rolling here shortly. Trump should have suited up and ran one in for a touchdown. Yeah, that's good. All right, here we go, folks. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Welcome in to the after show, the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. Never enough time, never a dull moment. Like drinking from a fire hose, and this weekend particularly, holy smokes, was it? Well, we thank you for being here with us as we continue to keep the show on the road. Things are rolling right along. Stacked today. In fact, if you want to see the stack, we post everything that we normally talk about every day at justinbarclay.com in the stack. Keep up with the stories and make sure you can share them. Lots of good news, and it needs to be shouted from the rooftops. So we will do just that today. Don't forget, you want to grab gear inside the Justin Store. Christmas specials still out there for all the great gear, the goodies. Whether you want the mugs, the tumblers, the shirts, the long sleeve tees, the hoodies, the ladies' cuts just for you. Got some kids' gear as well inside at justinbarclay.com. Make sure you dig in and get it done. I think, folks have asked about when's the last day. Well, last week was kind of the last day to guarantee, but I think you may still, I don't want to throw you off, but I do think you may still be able to grab something today. Just a thought. I've got so much I got to share with you. In fact, we got a little bit of time to make sure that we get to it. And I like I said, there's just so much. I got CBS 60 Minutes from this weekend, the town hall with Erica Kirk. I got an update on the DoorDash driver who's accused of spraying something. It looked like pepper spray on the food there. She's been arrested and has an interesting excuse for why she did it, which is kind of wild when you hear this. Oh, yeah. Likely story. But he won the Heisman Trophy. Indiana's football quarterback Fernando Mendoza gave an exceptional speech. He's an exceptional young man. He gave an exceptional speech this weekend, and I wanted you to hear part of it from who he dedicated to the speech to and who he credited.
And my lifelong teammate, Alberto, my brother, my closest confidant, the one I trust more to anybody to get through a tough day, tough play, tough game. I love you, bro. I love you, and thank you for always giving it to me straight, no matter the circumstance. Thank you to Coach Dunn and to Christopher Columbus High School for giving me a home, a dream to follow, and more importantly, a brotherhood. Adelante. To my Cal family, thank you for being the first to believe in my future. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for educating me, giving me the foundation that enabled me to grow into the person I am today. To Coach Signetti, Whitmer, Shanahan, Owens, and every single coach who has guided me along the way. You drove me to a level I didn't even know I had inside of me. From the late night film sessions to the tough conversations and pushing me to be the best Fernando possible. You didn't make me just a better quarterback, you made me a better man.
Wow.
Sorry guys, I'll try to line it up here. In 4th grade, I was a new kid on the park football team. Didn't know a single teammate and was 4th on the depth chart. By midseason, I wanted to get out of there, I wanted to quit. My parents said I had to finish what I started. So I learned to embrace my team, and that is when I fell in love with football. By high school, I was chasing the first stages of pipe dream, to play in college. Then COVID hit, cut the season short. The result, I was only a 2-star prospect, and only had 1 scholarship offer. But my family's unconditional love and belief kept me going and pushed me forward. These are the people who built me long before football did. Mommy, this is your trophy as much as it is mine. You've always been my biggest fan. You're my light, you're my why, you're my biggest supporter. Your sacrifices, courage, love, those have been my first playbook and the playbook that I'm gonna carry through my side through my entire life. You taught me that toughness doesn't need to be loud. It can be quiet and strong. It's choosing hope. It's believing in yourself when the world doesn't give you much reason to. Together, you and I are rewriting what people think is possible. I love you.
Now, you just heard that touching tribute to his mom, but what you may not know is what his mom is fighting and battling while he's on the field. She's battling, fighting something off the field that is and has become an inspiration for so many people that are following. She has MS, multiple sclerosis, and he dedicates his award, the Heisman Trophy, to his mother. Here's a little bit of her story. You're welcome. Catching the letters. Well. My dearest darling Fernando, writing this to you a few days before the Heisman Trophy ceremony. I guess you could say it's a little ironic. You're up for this amazing individual award. As anyone who's ever watched you knows, that's not what you're about. I've been lucky enough to know that for a much longer time than most people. Not just because I'm your mom, but because I feel like I was your very first teammate. You've had to overcome obstacles at every step along the way. And I'm so proud of how, instead of letting those obstacles define you, you've treated them as opportunities to define yourself. Then there's one more aspect of your journey that's always touched me very deeply. And it's the way that your journey over the last several years is intertwined with my own. Specifically, in the battle with multiple sclerosis. Honestly, it will never be easy. But you've made it so much easier. You made me feel seen. in you with every part of me. I'm proud of you. Not just today, but every day. With all my love, Mommy. Who's cutting onions in here, huh? Wow. Who's cutting the onions? Man. Show you this story to tell you that in a day and age where you see so many young people who are seemingly lost, you see so many young people who seemingly just have it all wrong. They've been indoctrinated by the very institutions that they end up indebted to. They've been completely pulled off track, and it makes you feel hopeless and helpless. It makes you feel like there's just nothing else. There's just nothing that can be done. We're losing this next generation. They're lost. They're gone. You've written them off. Didn't you have a young man like this? At the same time, you have a young man like Charlie Kirk who led a movement of other young men. Well, I won't say if this guy was a part of it or not, but I can just tell you that there is something happening. There is something happening when they're not all lost. In fact, I think a lot of this next generation that's coming up has been through so much, particularly COVID, and it could have wiped them out. But what could have wiped them out made many of them, in his case, much stronger. You know, the whole idea of the good times, you know, they make soft men, weak men make hard times make strong men. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. You know, this is a cycle that we're constantly in. I just want to share it with you because I don't ever want you to believe that all hope is lost. That's what the enemy wants. I've been talking a lot about this lately. I didn't really feel like it's on my heart. I'm telling you, I never before have I seen so much division, so much chaos, so much back and forth. And it's such a critical time, tearing apart a movement and people in ways that are just completely unnecessary. Part of that, as I mentioned, and I pulled the curtain back for you last week, is, you know, showing you how the sausage is made. Part of that is very intentional. It's meant to get you to feel like there's nothing you can do. Why? Because you hold the answers. In many ways, you are the answer. Or at least big part of it. You know, the answer, I believe, is the Lord. But he doesn't work without you. We work together in concert. And I mentioned this before. You got to work like it all depends on you, but you got to pray like it all depends on him. And ultimately, you have to give it up. You have to give it to God. And that's exactly what I'll do each and every day, every step of the way from here on out. It's what I've been doing for a while now. But we have to understand, in the world that we're in, we have to understand what we're up against, the forces. Again, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's not men who we're fighting. It is something much different. So just remember, as you continue, and in the days ahead, things are going to get weird. Even more weird than Tim Walz. Pretty weird guy. They're going to get even more weird than him, and wild. Just remember just remember, the good news is no matter what the headlines, that God is still on the throne. We see it even in some of the darkest moments. We see peaks of light, like we saw it this weekend. The man, the hero on Bondi Beach who stepped in to save folks, put his own self at risk. The President Trump talking about that hero in Australia over the weekend. Listen to what he had to say.
And in Australia, you probably read it's been a very, very brave person, actually, who went and attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So very brave person who's right now in the hospital, pretty seriously wounded. So great respect to that man that did that. But we're here for, and in Australia, you probably read.
These are the folks that are normal, average, everyday people that will inspire courage and greatness. By the way, it's contagious when one person steps up, makes a stand, and you will see others doing it. This is the kind of thing that is critical to our nation. When they platform cowards, where they constantly put people at the center who are the ones that, and that just deserve at least, but they deserve something altogether. The traitors, altogether separate. It's massive. We've got to make sure that people see it. We've got to make sure that we do our best to spread the good news. Because, as I said, courage is contagious. The man in Australia, was he Muslim, Chat asked Jessica. Not the man who stopped. It does not appear the man who stopped the hero was not Muslim. I believe the two individuals who perpetrated, not only were they in, because they have gun control down there, the illegal possession of firearms, but they were also foreigners. They were not from Australia. I believe they were Muslims as well. But the man who stopped it, I think, is Christian. Maronite. Maronite, I think from Lebanon. If you're not familiar, go look that up. It's a sect of the Catholic Church. A good friend of mine, his mother was a Maronite Catholic, and her funeral was in a Maronite Catholic church. Really interesting. They have a different pope. It's a whole different thing. It's really a fascinating look at it. If you've never looked into this, you ought to take a look. Speaking of which, I've got other news we got to make sure we share today too. How about this? President Trump breaking some big news when he spoke this weekend at that holiday gathering for Christmas. Take a listen to what he says about the 2020 election and what they've found and what's coming.
That's all they're good at cheating in elections. Very good at cheating. They're professionals at cheating. Because we won in 2016 by a lot. The election was rigged in 2020. We have all the ammunition, all the stuff, and you'll see it come out. It's coming out in truckloads. And California's election, New York also, but California more than any other place is so rigged. It's such a rigged election. You know, we won the Hispanic vote. So a lot of people say Republican wouldn't win California, but I won the Hispanic vote. I won in Miami. Think of that. In Miami, I won the Hispanic vote. Along the Texas border, I won every single city or town touching the Texas border, and they're 85 to 90% Hispanic. We won the Hispanic vote. If the vote in California was legitimate, which it's not, they have 38 million ballots. Everything is mail-in voting. They mail out 38 million ballots, and they come in. Where the hell do they go, and where do they come from? It's a rigged election in California, because we would win California by a lot. And again, they feel they have the advantage with Hispanic. They don't.
Isn't that interesting? Some massive news. We have it all. It's all coming out in the days ahead. They rigged the 2024 or the 2020 election. They tried to rig the 2024 election. Too big to rig. Too big to rig. I miss Trump rallies, Jessica says. Well, guess what? They may be coming back in 2026. We've heard some of that. Hey, here's Senator Schumer in the most odd and tone-deaf moment ever, talking about what's happening with the breaking news But first, and how tragic and horrific it is. But first.
And of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal. And of course.
Excuse me, what? Yeah, I want to talk about this horrific attack down in Australia on folks celebrating Hanukkah by these Muslims who are, radical, extreme, crazy terrorists. But first, let's talk football. Excuse me? What? What? Speaking of people that have lost it, that are out of their minds and at football games, here's Joe Biden.
Can I give it go Birds?
Go Birds, man. All the way. You got to win the Super Bowl again.
That guy was in charge of the nuclear codes, folks.
How cool is it to be here today, President? It's always cool to be here. Particularly today. We got to get him back moving, man.
Yeah, sure.
Do, man.
Also, go Syracuse. Go Q.
Can I give it go?
You can't make this up. And by the way, all of this stuff is kind of coordinated. They're trying to grab media and whatnot on a weekend where President Trump, it's an Army-Navy game. This is just what you have to understand. These folks are flailing behind the scenes. Flailing. Erica Kirk and Candace Owens are going to be face-to-face today. I don't know if you seen this. We're going to hear something, I'm sure, at some point about it. I don't know when. I don't know what the updates will look like, but I would ask you to pray for peace here because there's a lot of division, people being torn apart in ways that I just see only hurting the good people of this country. I talked a little bit about you and more on what my thoughts are on this. I talked a little bit about it over the weekend. I think Friday, maybe even Thursday last week. Go check out the podcast. Talk about saying behind the curtain how the sausage is made and all the rest of that. It is very interesting. Okay. Last but not least, what else? Is there one more thing that I think you ought to hear or see? Maybe before we get out of here. One more thing. No, I don't want to talk about that. I really don't. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I think I might just leave you with that, folks. I mean, I want to leave. You know what? I'm going to leave you on an upbeat note. How about that? The last piece is it's not upbeat, but I will share it because I think it's something. I think it's really interesting. Something you've never heard before. Actually, I got two pieces. And then we'll wrap. All right. This just making sure that I hit it all. J.D. Vance telling a behind-the-scenes stories of President Trump after he learned that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The only time Vance says he's ever seen the president stunned.
That meeting was breaking up, and I looked at my phone as I always do between meetings, and all my signal chats and my text groups were lighting up with people that I was in a text chat with Charlie saying, Charlie, give us an update. What's going on, man? And that was kind of when I realized something was not right. And then, of course, I got the brief from my staff. I looked at social media. I realized what had happened. And I'll never forget the first 20 minutes or so. We were getting updates from Charlie's team. We actually thought things were going to go okay, or at least we had a glimmer of hope. You know, he got to the hospital. He had a heartbeat. He was still alive. And, of course, he didn't make it. And that was one of the toughest moments of my life. And I remember walking to the Oval Office and telling the president. And, of course, you know, the president is a person who always has something to say. You know, he has that ability. And that was one of the few times where the president, I've ever seen him, the only time I would say, where I've seen the president stunned. And he just sat back in his chair and he was like, man, he fought very hard for us, didn't he? And he did. And that's one of the things that I want to take into 2026 is this sense of how many people have sacrificed for me, have sacrificed for the President of the United States, have sacrificed for all of us to be able to do the job that we do. Think about
What an interesting story. The only time he said he saw the president stunned and really speechless in that moment. I thought that was fascinating, and the story that I thought was worth sharing, because you probably won't hear that anywhere else. Speaking of which, there's something else you're not going to hear anywhere else. They barely asked over on the Sunday shows this weekend, but this is for folks who Chicken Little Sky is falling, black pill folks. You got to realize you're not hearing these stories, and these stories are massive because the outlook makes all the difference. Kevin Hassett says, and he's a big advisor in the financial economic wing of what's happening in this administration. We've got the trade deficit cut in half from last year. All these things should continue to move us forward to the Fed target of 2% for inflation. Don't let the experts lie to the American people. This is the truth. The Trump White House, stunning fake news. And our U.S. budget deficit, the budget deficit down in a massive amount this last year. You're not hearing this anywhere else.
Evidence is mixed, but the point is that we've got deficit going way down. So right now it's looking like the deficit for this year will be $600 million lower than it was last year. That really helps lower inflation. We've got the trade deficit cut in half from last year. And so all of these things are things that should continue to move us towards the Fed target of 2%.
Did you hear her?
But the point is,
listen to her at the end. She can't believe herself. Why is that important? All of that brings interest rates down. All of that will help make things more affordable. All of that will make America great again. You're just not hearing the story. And that's why I get so passionate, I would say, about making sure you hear the good news. Because here's the thing, folks, they're not going to do the mainstream media is not going to do it. So you got to make sure you're talking about it, you're sharing it, you're telling people about it. Otherwise, they won't hear it. They just won't hear it. All right, here's the update you've all been waiting for. No, I'm not going to forget it. I promised you I would. Here's the news. The woman responsible for at least allegedly spraying that stuff. You see, there's her spray. She's going to spray. She's caught on video. This is down in Indiana. In fact, in my hometown, spraying the order she just put on the ground. Boop, there it goes. She sprays it and walks away. She's now been arrested. She's been arrested, but she's got an excuse. She now claims wait till you hear this. She now claims she was just spraying a spider. Make that one make sense. No. You got caught, and you're struggling now at the last minute to come up with something, some sort of excuse to keep you out of jail. Look, I know she was arrested in Kentucky. She will be charged in Vanderburgh County, Indiana, which is my hometown. At least it looks like. I don't know what the charge is. There are a couple of different things that they could look at here, but you got a couple of things that play in it. Mandy and Mark Carden, the husband and wife who ordered the food, the wife who had already respiratory issues, she was sick, vomited and suffered burning sensation in her throat and mouth. And I think they both had those issues at the time. Now found out that Stevens, this woman who, Courtney Stevens is her name, the mugshot. Here's the mug. You want to see the mugshot? There she is in all her glory. Arrested, was staying with her father, she says, in Indiana. I mean, is it possible she was spraying? Maybe, but it's pretty cold there right now. Probably not a lot of spiders out. Probably not a lot of spiders. She was staying with her father in Indiana, took the DoorDash job to pay some bills. Tried to reach out to Stevenson on the DoorDash app. This Mark, the husband and wife, Mark Carden, tried to reach out to Stevenson on the DoorDash app, the story says. Notice my wife had started eating. She started choking and gasping. After she had a couple bites of her food, she actually threw up. Stevenson had already blocked him. This is why you know it's not a spider. You don't block somebody unless there's something really wrong. She was mad he didn't tip, or they didn't tip enough, or something along those lines. And the other thing that's really strange about this, which is hard to imagine, is that, there's doorbell cameras everywhere. She knew that. She saw the doorbell there. He tried to reach out to her, shouted she'd already blocked him after watching the doorbell footage. Carden didn't recognize the worker and posted photos to Facebook. After identifying her, authorities in Indiana charged the driver with 2 counts of battery resulting in moderate injury, 2 counts of consumer package tampering. Stevenson, arrested in Kentucky, will have to be extradited. Cardigan's meanwhile Carden's wondering if she'll ever maybe order delivery again. I can't imagine. This is a very reason why I don't do this. Unless it's pizza or something, I have a hard time, using those, because I just know, We assume it's pepper spray. They say it's more than likely what it is. But now in this day and age, it could have been anything. Could have been rat poison. Remember the original report the guy said? Could have been rat poison. Well, you don't spray rat poison, but it was not. And thank God this woman's been arrested, because this is the thing, folks. Far too long, this type of thing, people just getting away with stuff. And I will tell you, I am all here for it. I hate to see people mess up, make mistakes, but you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's just how this whole thing has to work. Because I'm going to tell you, we're in the era of accountability. We are in the age of find out. She fooled around and found out. There you have it. All right, back with more tomorrow. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. And, of course, as always, these stories and more up on our stack at justinbarclay.com. Now, I've seen, and I had to put this guy on the payroll, Jason out there plugging for us, mypillowmystore.com/Justin. Use promo code Justin for all kinds of great deals. In fact, I believe they can still get you stuff in time for Christmas. Mike and the team. I saw Jason mention the slippers, which are amazing. Yes, I have a pair myself. The sheets, the towels. I love all of the bedding, all of that great stuff. We got the Bible pillows for the kids. They're on the way. In fact, you got to notice they're probably coming today. The mattresses, the mattress toppers, and even the coffee. Save big on all of it. mypillowmystore.com/Justin. Do it today. Help support Mike, who's running for governor in Minnesota. And you can support this program at the same time, too. Make it a great one, folks. Appreciate you. God bless.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.